Hello, everyone. This is Trinity, and you're listening to Lovespiracy. I would love to get into the niceties with you guys tonight. It's not going to happen. It is currently 12:01 a.m. Central, where I'm at. Waiting for the blood moon. So I was pretty much busy throughout the day, missed a bunch of news, decided to catch up, and wanted to do an emergency episode. Today, it was brought up by the Trump administration, the Trump himself, that he is going to today, which is Friday, there's supposed to be a government shutdown as well. That's not part of this. That he is bringing in, hold on, because I had to pull all of this up immediately. All right. Okay, so this is about immigration. Let's just cover this part really quick because I had a conversation with someone about it recently, and I want to make sure that I have the numbers absolutely correct. Deportation has been happening. That is not a lie at all. He has been deporting people. There are a couple of things that I need you to understand before Trump supporters start, you know, raising their hands all over the place in happiness. There's a couple of things that you should actually pay attention to when they talk about exactly what ICE detention means. ICE detention means you were arrested or you were brought in. They count those numbers. A lot of these people are being released. So far, and this is according to, this came out today, well, not today, yesterday, on NBC News. Some of those arrests, quote, some of those arrested by ICE, including during the Trump administration, are released into the U.S. on a monitoring program because there is not enough space in ICE detention. In the first 2 weeks of the Trump administration, ICE arrested over 8,000 immigrants and released 461, White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt said in response to ABC News programming. So everything's not as it seems. If you're thinking that every person you're seeing in a news article or somebody writing their nonsense on Twitter, it's not happening that way. It never does. He needs numbers. He said, oh, we're going to deport everybody. That's not happening. And I have the numbers. So let's get to it. He's been releasing people. He doesn't want to tell anybody that. This is why he's threatening to literally deport people that have visas or are here on asylum. Because you know what they have? They have their addresses, their telephone numbers, their social securities, their date of birth. You could just go to somebody's house. Like, that's not even playing fair. But it's numbers, and it gets his base, all riled up. Okay. He's not deporting people with criminal records as well. So, this is from Trace Reports, and this is all they do. They trace everything. And I had to find this one. So, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement agencies, between their paperwork in 2024, ICE booked in 277,913 people in a 366-day period and an average of 759 a day. Since he's been in office, 94,641 have been arrested. Please pay attention. I'm using the word arrest, not deported, nothing. Arrested. In a 131-day period, which is 722 per average. Okay, you might be thinking, oh, but those numbers, that's for 1 year. No, this is the same month, different year. So that means, because I had to get the numbers, hold on, that means there's a difference of what happened last year under the Biden administration and what's happening here, considering this is a whole televised fiasco, is the difference of 176,010 people. He's not pulling the numbers and he's panicking. So, right now, I know you've seen Tom Homan and everybody screaming and yelling. Lindsey Graham was crying more than once. It's ridiculous. Anyway, he needs the money. It costs $10,500 for every person that gets deported, right? And it's like the whole process. Here's the reason why this is causing such a stir and why I needed to do this episode tonight. Even though he plans on doing this, and he's really going to be up in everybody's shit right now, They don't have the money, they don't have the space. Every time he's begging for money, including why we're going to have a government shutdown because he's throwing this stuff in, he has already canceled $1 billion across the country for food pantries and children's lunch. He canceled the K9 program. I think that was earlier, well, yesterday. I keep saying today. That means the canines can't get to the vet. No food, no nothing, right? These are the little things that he's doing. Tiny things. These are not making any dents in anything. This is why the Democrats are yelling and screaming he's got to cancel bigger programs. There's no other way. He's nickel and diming it right now. So, let's see. It says here, in his inaugural address, he promised that he would deport millions and millions, right? So, for just 1 million migrants to be deported, not arrested, it will cost $10.5 billion. Here's where the problem lies. And please, if you know a Trump supporter or they're pro this immigration, let them do this, but let them pay attention. Every time they use all of this money to go find a person, take them, right? So you got to get a car, you got to put gas in the car, you got to get an ICE agent, you got to get them to drive to the facility, then you got to do pictures. So this whole process, right? Every time you do that and that money funnels in to take one person, and there's maybe a 70% chance that they're even illegal, or it's a 10% or 15% chance they have a criminal background at all. This is what they're saying ICE is getting taken away from. The average operating budget for all of ICE, which is also responsible for other issues, customs violations, money laundering, drug trafficking investigations, child exploitation. Every time you're all clapping your hands for one person to be arrested, you're letting more kids get trafficked. You're letting more drugs into the country because now all of the people that were policing everything else are just paying attention to one thing. And you're taking all the resources. So where do you think that money's going to come from? Let's say, hypothetically, that he needed to find a way and nobody wanted to back him up, just like it's happening now. So it says here, this is came out yesterday. No, sorry, the day before yesterday. President Trump made a plea tonight for funding for his mass deportation agenda, a message he delivered as the family members of Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nergare, sorry if I said that wrong, who were killed by undocumented immigrants, sat in the audience. Long story short, the president had been struggling to ramp up removals of undocumented immigrants during his first weeks in office. Trump said he sent a detailed funding request to Congress, and this is why there's going to probably be a government shutdown. Made a reference to, quote, Operation Wetback, the largest mass deportation campaign of undocumented immigrants in U.S. history. As many as 1.3 million Mexican immigrants were swept under the Eisenhower campaign, named after a derogatory slur for immigrants who crossed rivers to reach the U.S., and which has long been viewed as the model for Trump's plans. Quote, I have sent Congress a detailed request laying out exactly how we'll eliminate these threats, protect our homeland, and complete the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than current record holder President Eisenhower, a moderate man, but someone who believed very strongly in borders. You may be thinking, okay, is there any point to this? Yes, there is. Welcome to the Alien Enemies Act that Trump says later on today he will be implementing. So in case you're not old as me or older than me, I know I've heard stories about what happened with internment camps here in the United States and how that would never happen again. There are many people alive. One of the most famous ones is the Japanese guy, George Takei from Star Trek. He grew up in an internment camp. His family, his parents were in internment camps. And he's been an advocate against ever seeing that happen to anyone else again. But our buddy decided he was going to pull this card. This is depressing. Let me tell you about the Aliens Act. So, and there's two things. So it's called the Enemies Act, right? Here's the problem. It has more than one name. Everything has more than one name. There's another name, and there's another way this is explained. And the other word in it is sedition. Now, just in case I want to get all of this correct, sedition means conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. That's everybody. That's me. That's every YouTube channel. That's every politician. That's every protester. That's everybody. That's everybody. If you're pissed and you said it out loud, you're part. You can be taken as an American citizen, not having, you're not an anchor baby, nothing. As an American citizen, can be detained under sedition starting tomorrow or later on today. All right, this is a great article. I am going to read through it really quick. This is from the Brennan Law Center. I'm sorry, the Brennan Center for Justice. And here it goes. And this was written in October of 2024. What is the Alien Enemies Act? The Alien Enemies Act of 1798. And by the way, he's pulling something from 1798. If that doesn't tell you anything, I wouldn't even know how to start with you. Is a wartime authority that allows the president to detain or deport the natives and citizens of an enemy nation. The law permits the president to target these immigrants without a hearing and based only on their country of birth or citizenship. Although the law was enacted to prevent foreign espionage and sabotage in wartime, it can be, and has been, wielded against immigrants who have done nothing wrong and are lawfully present in the United States. It is an overboard authority that may violate constitutional rights in wartime and is subject to abuse in peacetime. In case anybody forgot, we are in peacetime. I don't care if, if everybody's having a fight, Republican, Democrat. It's peacetime. We're not in war in this country. Not even civil war. We're not in war. This should not apply. The Alien Enemies Act has been invoked 3 times, each time during a major conflict. The War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. In World War I and II, the laws was a key authority behind detentions, expulsions, and restrictions targeting German, Austro-Hungarian, Japanese, and Italian immigrants based solely on their ancestry. The law is best known for its role in Japanese internment and shameful part of U.S. history for which Congress, presidents, and the courts have apologized. I'm going to throw this in there. When it says solely based on their registry, please keep that in mind. I'm doing this. It's going to be short, and I'm going to continue this on Sunday. Please keep that in mind. Under what conditions can the president invoke the Alien Enemies Act? The president may invoke the Alien Enemies Act in times of, quote, declared war, or when a foreign government threatens or undertakes an invasion or predatory incursion against U.S. territory. Keep in mind also, this is exactly what he's doing to the Panama Canal, Greenland, and Canada. They could pull this on us. The Constitution gives Congress, not the president, the power to declare war. So the president must wait for democratic debate and a congressional vote to invoke the Alien Enemies Act based on a declared war. But the president need not wait for Congress to invoke the law based on a threatened or ongoing invasion or predatory incursion. The president has inherent authority to repeal these kinds of sudden attacks, an authority that necessarily implies the discretion to decide when an invasion or predatory incursion is underway. As the Supreme Court and past presidents have acknowledged, the Alien Enemies Act is a wartime authority enacted and implemented under the war power. When the Fifth Congress passed the law and the Wilson administration defended it in court during World War I, they did so on the understanding that non-citizens with connections to a foreign belligerent could be, quote, treated as prisoners of war under the rules of war under the law of nations. In the Constitution in the late 1700 statutes, the term invasion is used literally, typically to refer to a large-scale attack. The term predatory incursion is used literally in writings of that period to refer to slightly smaller attacks, like the 1781 raid on Richmond, led by American defector Benedict Arnold. This is how old that is. Benedict Arnold. Today, some anti-immigration politicians and groups urge a non-literal reading of invasion and predatory incursion so that the Alien Enemies Act can be invoked in response to unlawful migration and cross-border narcotics trafficking. These politicians and groups view the Aliens Enemies Act as a turbocharged deportation authority, but their proposed readings of the law is at odds with centuries of legislative, presidential, and judicial practice, of all which confirm that the Alien Enemies Act is a wartime authority. Invoking it in peacetime to bypass conventional immigration law would be a staggering abuse. Although the Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked in major conflicts, President Woodrow Wilson and Harry S. Truman continued using the law after the cessation of hostilities in World War I and II. World War I ended in 1918, but the Wilson administration used the law to intern German and Austro-Hungarian immigrants until 1920, and World War II ended in 1945. But the Truman administration used the law for internment and deportations until 1951. It is 1948 Ludick versus Watkins opinion. A narrow majority of the Supreme Court upheld the Truman administration's extension. Here's the thing. This is where we have this total lapse of judgment. We have no sense of history because we're not taught it. 1951 was not that long ago. 1945 was not that long ago. You could put a picture of Anne Frank and a picture of Martin Luther King, and they're both in color, and they were alive at the exact same time. We are living in a cuckoo world where we're not seeing the connects. I keep trying to explain that everybody's involved. This is not isolated at all. And we know that because he's been arresting people that have been doing protests. Okay. Here's what we're going to go with this. If the courts upheld post-war uses of the Aliens Enemies Act, can we rely on them to strike down peacetime abuses of the law? I'm not going to read all of that. It goes quick. Yes, somebody can use it and completely abuse it. It was never made to just be somebody who's pissed off. It's made for actual people thinking that they're in some form of threat. Okay. I'm frustrated, so bear with me. According to the Supreme Court's 1962 Baker versus Carr opinion, which formalized the political question doctrine, the courts can wade into political thicket to correct an obvious mistake or manifestly unauthorized exercise of power. The courts have never relied on this backstop, however, and there is little clarity regarding when or how it could be applied. If anybody's been noticing, he's doing things that have come up as hypothetical. What ifs? We don't have a limitation for this, or we don't have a statute for this, or we don't know how the rules go for this because nobody's ever done that before. So he wants to become the president of first times, I want to be the first one to date that girl, I want to be the first one to do this. I want to be the first one to drive a car. He's tearing everything down. This is supposed to happen later on today, by the way. The problem and the reason why I brought up sedition is because sedition is us. Sedition is us. That means he can take anybody. This means anybody. I'm going to cover this part really quick. And this is under criminal law. Sedition is overt conduct such as speech or organization. And what is that? First Amendment, then tends toward rebellion against the established order. And what is that? That are people that were in Trump Tower. That is the people that were they were kids being removed from colleges now, that were part of protests that were pro-Palestinian. They're all getting kicked out of school. Then we had that one guy, he wound up getting deported. His pregnant wife is still here. It's a lot. Sedition often includes subversion of a constitution or incitement of discontent toward or insurrection. I like that word, right? Where do we hear that before? against established authority. We are now established authority, and we're pissed. We're pissed. It's not just people like me. It's veterans are starting to come out. The Teamsters are starting to come out. Everybody's coming out. Fox News is coming out. His people are coming out. And they're like, the stock market keeps going down. They're taking away. This is everybody. I talked to a very good friend that I could be open and honest with. And I know that today, whatever, I'm just going to keep saying today. Today, I was like, he has to take everybody. It can't, the picking and the choosing, everybody, one person or one race or one tax bracket. Everybody's like, oh, I'm better than you and I'm better than, this is everybody. This is everybody. Seditious words in writings are seditious libel. That means journalists. That means politicians. A seditionist is one who engages in or promotes the interest of sedition, right? That's everybody. That's everybody. He's going to pull up a 1790s law and put it into place because he's pissed. Everybody yelled, everybody screamed, everybody was like, come on, please just, we can't be separate on this one. He's gained traction. He's got the money. He's going rogue. He went rogue. He went out, he put a bunch of Teslas in front of the White House like he was a car salesman. Do you know what happened the next day? Tesla stocks went up. There were dummies out there that went and bought Teslas because there was one in front of the freaking White House. And the world's burning. I mean, it went right back down the next day. My whole point was, who ran out there and said, holy shit, that billionaire seems to be, losing out on a couple $100. I better go run to the next dealership. What? I'm going to be able to come back tomorrow. I'm going to try to do another show. I had to get this out here. Please pay attention. Put on the news. I don't care which news you hear. The things you're listening for. Aliens, enemies, acts, sedition. Government shutdown. What was that last one? And stopped or delayed Social Security payments. Because that's right there. That's right there. When the government shuts down, he's going to be like, there's only one way we're going to be able to make that money. And if you go out in the street and you yell and you scream, you fall under this act. You fall right into it. He doesn't even have to do martial law. He doesn't have to do martial law. I thought that's what it was going to take. He went back. So keep an eye out. Listen. Pay attention. Keep your news on. Listen for the key words. I'm sure he'll have some kind of a meeting, or he's probably going to tweet she's probably tweeting about that shit now. Pay attention. He's going to use keywords. There's words he's going to be using. Keep an eye out for that. Keep an ear open for that. Sedition, against the establishment, protesters, political activists, streamers, YouTubers, anybody who has a platform who has been having these discussions. Pay attention. All right. I will see you later on today. And like I said, pay attention. Today's going to be a very big day. All right. You guys have a good one. This is Trinity, and this is Lovespiracy. Sorry I sounded frustrated. I'm so pissed off right now. Okay. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Seriously, take care.
If you enjoy our content, please show your support by liking, sharing, and following. Our strength is in independent media. Our voices matter. Thank you for making this possible.